can tell you one thing. Uh, I'm already. Well, hey, we're doing another review this time on Picard, season 3, episode 1. Yes, season 3, episode 1. Because you corrected me when I said that
That's
before.
right.
Okay, season 3,
Yeah, season
episode
three,
1. That's
episode one, The Next Generation.
the next, yeah, the episode, the next generation. You confuse me when you say the titles because I'm like, no, no, no. I watched Picard. Anyway,
It's
I
very
didn't
confusing, I admit. I'm sorry. I'll just shut
I
up.
didn't watch Farpoint. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so we're doing Picard season 3, episode 1. These are my friends from Letters for Legacy. We are working very hard to try to get Legacy, the story, to be on our screen soon. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're going to, for a 2-year anniversary of the premiere of that episode 2 years ago on the 16th of February. We're just going to give it another watch through and see how we feel about it, why it may have inspired this movement, and yeah, in general, be picky Trekkies because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to pick everything apart, complain about it, and then come back for more. So I feel like that's a fair introduction to the situation, and of course. It wouldn't be a Katie's Corner in Space review without audio or visual issues. So if you see our faces coming and going, just go with it. Just that's just the way it is. All right, I think that was a fair intro. Sean, our fearless leader here, would you like to start us off? I'm done talking. I'm done.
Well, I would like to say that I think I've seen Picard season three going on like 167 times now, and it gets better every time I see it. There is something just awesome about the group of people that were brought together to make this show, and it's not just the reunion of that next generation cast. It has a lot to do with Terry Matalas. I mean, what keeps coming to my mind is it's Star Trek made by Trekkies for Trekkies. And I'll admit that there's a lot of nostalgia going on there, but it seems to be the most cinematic Star Trek that we've seen in years. I think, except for perhaps First Contact, watching this season of Picard feels more cinematic than any of the actual, in the movie theater movies that we got of the Next Generation. And part of that seems to be there's a lot of nostalgia. There are a lot of callbacks to sort of the Nicholas Meyer generation of filmmaking, like Rafi Khan. And that's what you have. You have these people that they very much love Star Trek. They bring their own sort of unique take, but they're also very respectful and they know how to play, that nostalgia card. And they did it incredibly. And literally, it's something that I can watch over and over again. When I got to the end of the episode, I immediately wanted to start watching the next one, which I think is Disengage. I'm ready to watch all 10 episodes again. And it hasn't been 167, but it's probably been about a dozen times. And it just is eminently watchable. But to your point, every time you rewatch it, there's beautiful little nuggets and details. And then there are things that pop up there. You're kind of like, that was a little off. That's a little weird. You can be a little more critical about it. For instance, I think about it's such a cool intro where we jump right into the action with Beverly Crusher. And here's Dr. Beverly Crusher, and it tells us right away, okay, these characters are different than the way you remember them because she's grabbing a phaser and she's being a badass. But I am so picky. Like, why are we rocking a phaser like a shotgun? But that's it. That'll be my one critique for the episode, and we'll just check that box off.
Well,
Okay.
I was watching the intro again as well, but I was looking as the camera pans over her shelves of memorabilia, and every time they show Jack Crusher's storage box, I'm like, but she kept that in storage. Why is she carrying it around with her? Isn't that a dangerous and bad plan? The whole deal in the episode where she brings it forward so Wes can see the hologram of his dad is, well, I've kept this for storage in years. What I'm upset that she didn't put it back in storage to keep it safe. I'm worried she's endangered it. Ship.
That's very true. Keep your collectibles somewhere where you're not on the edge of the galaxy fighting bad guys where they could get vaporized.
Yes, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's why I don't pack up my Trek memorabilia for Vegas. It stays here where it's safe. Oh, we look dazzy for a
But
second.
that opening opening scene before Beverly pops up, they found us. It does kind of feel very much like a Truckie's collection, and it is a little bit of a treasure hunt. Or these little hints. There's the captain's log from Best of Both Worlds, and all of these little things. And there seems to be, you know, these little hints that are put into that scene. A lot of like the Elcar's hints that we get in the end credits.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think about the interesting, I think that the best thing is um when I watch it for the second time and the third time, fourth time, what I really like is that before the first minute they tell us what is happening, because before the first minute they talk about the Borg before the first minute, and then you realize when you watch it for the second time and so on, that there are a lot of details, and
yes,
Terry is talking about the Borg and what is happening continuously. But when you watch it in the first time, you don't realize, of course. But I think it's very, very intelligent. So it's not like those films that you watch and you discover what happens and that's all, because you don't need to watch those films again. you know
yeah,
they can be very nice films, but you don't need to watch them again. But in this case, you can, is as Sin has said, you can discover more things and more details, and it's fantastic. And I think it's very well written, because you know that I like writing. I'm a little writer, and I love discover how things, how the story is written, is emerging in some way. Is being constructed. Anything is very good written, very good.
yeah,
The characters, the there are a lot of things in the first episode, full of things. For example, the Captain Shaw, the no, who everybody loves that no. It's perfect. It's so well written, this character. So you don't need to explain anything about him, about Captain Shaw, because you
no,
can, it is shown. Can you understand me? So
yeah,
you can
Yeah,
see
absolutely.
it.
So just in that dinner scene, that interaction, we get to see that sort of subversion of expectation that you know all of Starfleet is not always fighting space gods and universe-ending phenomenon. Most of the time it is a ship like the Titan that's just going on, keeping on the rails, running the business of Starfleet, and it's so interesting to see Shaw butt heads with these legends.
yeah.
It's nice. It's so good.
Too funny. And yeah, and seven warns them, don't expect much.
Lower your expectations.
Yeah, lower expectations. And so yeah, and I love too that Terry wrote Shaw with Todd in mind. They were like, I want a Todd Stashwick type character. And Todd got ahead of it. It was like, well, I'm a
Well, I think they
Todd
even called the
Stashwick.
captain Stashwick. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, well, I happen to be just like Todd Stashwick. So he has to play himself in space, which I just love that story in general. But I also adore Todd. So, it's easy to impress me with that story. Uh,
Next watch through to Marie Jose's point, anytime there's a hint about the Borg, we'll just make that a drinking game. Got to take a shot if there's a Borg hint.
I'll put liquor on my shopping list for next time then because this is
Yeah,
going to
a lot
come
of,
up a lot.
a lot.
I'm all out. I'm all out. I don't drink a lot, so I'm out at the moment.
So when you come here to Spain, we can buy a lot of wine and watch again and again the show.
I love
There you
Spanish
go.
wines.
Hmm.
Okay, but you have to watch
Start
it in Spanish so we can
I do
follow
Star
along.
Trek wine.
I have to buy for you a lot.
Well, let's see. We've talked about the intro there. What did you guys think about we get introduced to a little bit here. I like the bar scene. I want to go back to the bar scene where Riker is waiting to meet Picard, and we've
Yeah,
got the ship collection at the bar.
very good.
They do a lot of tongue in cheek at the crew, at the ships, kind of teasing themselves. And I do like that no one likes the fat one, and it's like our favorite one out of like all. So I do like that they
Well,
kind of play with that.
they're even Trekkies teasing us Trekkies a bit because which one of us doesn't ourselves but have a friend who literally has the Franklin Mint, those pewter ships, somewhere in a display case in their home?
Yeah, my sister does the pewter ship collection.
I have a lot of posters.
I have models.
I have none, to be honest. I just turn around and I have none. No ships, no ships. Just Seven of Nines and Rafis and Picards and no ships.
You're secretly a Sequest fan with being under the sea is kind of the vibe that I'm getting, Diana.
No, no,
I'm not even.
no. You know, I rewatched Star Trek the animated show, and I the last episode I saw was an adventure in under the sea. You know, I was so impressed. So no, it was funny. It was funny because Spock and Kirk they got like this swimming
Yeah, the webbing
thing.
in their fingers.
Yeah,
Hands.
yeah, right. So and yeah, very funny. And then that moment I thought, oh, that would be indeed a good episode for a real Star Trek episode. I
That's
would
actually funny
love
because
to see that.
I'm making my daughter watch the Star Trek episodes with me. For her 10th birthday, she wants to come to the Las Vegas convention. And I said, all right, but you got to be able to know who you're talking about. So I've been doing my normal rewatch, and we're up to the original series. My next episode is The Naked Time. And
Oh, that
she's,
I just finished that.
yes, it's a good one. And so
Oh
she's
yeah,
been
it's a
coming
good
in
one.
and watching them with me, and she keeps going, she liked Strange New World. She really liked Nurse Chapel. So she goes,
Yeah.
well, when's Nurse Chapel going to be on it? And she's just not on it yet. Major hasn't been on those first few
Oh, and
episodes.
no, no, that's not true. That's not true. She was there all the time actually, but she looked so different.
Katie,
Well,
we
no, no.
have to ask. So your rewatch is chronological order versus release order?
Every year I do it a little different. Last year I split up Discovery, and this year I'm going to save it till the end to watch it as a flashback, and then the last three seasons as a. That's where we are now. But yeah, I started with Enterprise. We just did Strange New Worlds because I'm skipping Discovery to save to watch later. Then
Yeah.
we're doing the original series. Then we'll do the animated series. Then we'll do, is it Lower Decks and then Prodigy, or Prodigy and Lower Decks? I have to double check on that. And then we'll watch. Of course, we'll get. I'm sorry, I'm totally skipping the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Although there are
And
a couple of
Voyager.
episodes of those I won't let her watch because she's not quite old enough. And then
Yeah.
we'll watch the rest. But yeah, I watch them in chronological order almost every year
Yeah.
Wow.
because
Yeah,
I'm a
but
crazy
it's not.
person.
Yeah, it's not that easy
Perfectly
sometimes.
normal.
I kind of, you know, oh, I thought it before and I saw that before. I told you how my mind sometimes works on this. So I've seen that. Okay. Oh, wait. I want to see that actually. So I have to concentrate. Really
Yeah.
focus on stuff. Yeah, but sometimes really interesting too. So, oh, wait. I was very young when I watched it the first time, and now it's
Hmm.
like I mean, watch it with different eyes, and
Yeah.
Charlie X, for instance. I saw this episode and I remember when I was a child, I was not too thrilled about this episode, but today or yesterday when I watched it, I thought this guy who played Charlie X, he did actually a really good job.
Yeah. She watched
He
that
did a
one
really good.
yesterday.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
was like glued to the screen. She's like, "What's happened to their voice? What happened to her
yeah,
face?"
yeah.
Being
He
very good.
no, he did this guy did a really good job, and I think what you see is William Shatner is such a great character.
Yeah,
Not a character,
Kirk was
such a
fun.
great actor.
Kirk is good.
He's
Yes.
very very good.
I'm sorry, I got us off on a tangent about
Yeah,
Star
okay,
Trek and
sorry.
other things.
You know, you were talking about ships, which actually, when I was I all truth told, I've actually rewatched it twice in the last couple of days because one time was just to enjoy it, and the second time was to kind of take notes for this conversation.
Okay.
Hmm.
And talking about ships, you can really describe what Picard season 3 is all about with the ship, the Titan, because
Hmm.
Terry Matalas has talked about this ship as a retro mod. It's like you have somebody who's a 25th century engineer, but they said, you know what, I really love the old Connie class. So I'm
Yeah.
going to make a ship that is reminiscent of the old Connie class, but we're going to give it big badass engines and all the latest Borg warp tech. And that's what this show is. There is that nostalgia, but with
Yeah.
all the cool new stuff. It has such that
Yeah.
great, like I was talking about, that cinematic feeling um, when they're kind of doing their grumpy old men routine, which I think is
Yeah.
such an awesome dynamic between Riker and Picard. And it's almost Riker as sort of the student has become the master at this point, and they're approaching space dock, and there's that amazing shot of the Titan. And it's like it's a beautiful ship, and they go on board, and it's the reuse of the Stargazer, but it connects us to that era, that TNG era. It's all the
Yeah.
L cars, but rendered with the latest technology. All the screens are curved, everything looks cool. But then you have these little details like the bosun's whistle when they come on board. There
Mm-hmm.
are these little things that are there just for the hardcore fans. And it's also a story where you have those TNG characters, you have sort of a bridge character. Seven was not a TNG character. She was a Voyager character from that era and had an incredible character arc going from in Voyager being the Borg, and then we brought her back for Picard. She's now a vigilante as a rager, and now
Yeah.
she's in Starfleet on her way to becoming a captain. And then we see the next generation. They go onto the bridge, and there's Sidney LaForge beaming, sort of like any of us if he were a fan at a convention, and we saw Jonathan Frakes or we saw Sir Patrick. That's the way we would be beaming. But that's the feeling of a young cadet in Starfleet. Not cadet, I guess he's an ensign at this point, and she's the helms person. And she's like, wow, here are these legends, and we're going to be taking this adventure. So she really encapsulates that next generation of fandom, but also how we feel in our hearts going along for this ride with these amazing legendary characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I also like about Sydney is that she, on the one hand, is like, oh, it's Picard and it's Riker and they are colleagues of my dad, but she's obviously also have a huge respect for Seven.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's like a
that,
friendship there, a
yeah,
mentorship, I
that's
think.
like a potential and different understanding for Seven. I mean, Seven starts out as Annika Hansen, and you see how uncomfortable Seven is with Shaw calling her Commander Hansen, and I mean, I like how it is going that she at some point decided, oh, by the way, my name is Commander Seven, and I really like this beamy eyes of Sydney for Seven because it's like she knows this woman is capable of something, and I really
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Speaking
very
of
good.
strong women characters, no, pardon,
Sorry. I think it's a very good
we
character,
need
Sydney.
signs with their hands.
Oh, sorry. Because Sydney is like one of us. I think
Mhm.
Sin has
Yeah,
said that, right?
yeah,
And but it's like one of us because we have an age, okay? And it's like one of us when we were younger, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And but now that we are older, we can feel that excitement of Sydney being in front of those legends.
yeah,
And now that we are watching them in the TV, we are equally excited because there was not in our minds to watch them again in the screen.
yeah,
That's that's
Yeah.
that's the feeling when you see for the first time Dr. Crusher there, because
Yes.
you watch Dr. Crusher and you say, "Oh my God, is Beverly Crusher?" So perhaps what will happen with the others? Perhaps we will see the others in this show. So you feel that excitement, this young excitement that you had with when you were younger and you were watching TNG or Voyager. So I think Sin is like one of us in that moment.
Mhm.
Well, I have to say that I was excited about seeing Seven all the time in every season. The first time when she hits onto the screen, and I was like, the first season, like, 7 of 9. Oh my God,
Yeah,
girl, you look great. And then
yeah,
7 of 9, the second season was like, oh my God, I love those boots. I really love these boots. That was this is the second time, and then season 3 was like 7 of 9. Oh, Annika Hansen in this Starfleet uniform, and I like, oh my God, girl, you made it, and we are so proud of you.
yeah.
And that's this moment was like, yes, excitement, you got it, finally.
Well, that's I
Marie
think
Jose
really.
is talking about.
Go ahead, John.
And, so, that's the other thing that was really wonderful about the construction of the entire 10 episodes is it wasn't like, oh, it's Federation Day, so we're bringing back the original crew and we've restored the Enterprise like out of the gate. That there would have been a great temptation if you're doing a reunion show to do it that way, but it was so much better to develop each character and each character sort of gets introduced episode by episode until everyone's together for those last 2 episodes. And it's almost like we get 3 feature films. And my favorite are those first 4 episodes. And then there's sort of that middle part, and then we have that whiz banger of the sort of Borg finale with Vox and the Last Generation in the end. But it's just lovely, and unfortunately, there's a lot of controversy. I'll just say in particular with Counselor Troy, some underutilization of characters. But overall, I really think each character was beautifully done. Really got to have their own moment to shine.
Yeah, but especially Consular Troy or Deanna. I mean, she had her minutes or her time in season 1. So what were you laughing? I mean,
No, I'm not
um,
laughing. I'm just the part of the reason for that though was because COVID. It limited her travel, her availability, and able to get
yeah,
to
okay,
filming. So I
okay,
know that they had to rewrite and work around some of that
yeah,
to make sure that the story flowed and it makes sense why she wasn't there. But we can genuinely miss her not being there more often because I mean I adored Deanna when I was a kid as
absolutely,
well. So she's the one who
and
said it's okay to cry if you're sad. It's okay to be happy if you're happy. You can just be
yeah,
you. So I think
yeah,
we all like that to hear that from time to time.
yeah,
Um,
and I think she got some really nice scenes, and um I'm not gonna, I don't want to spoil it, but at the end of the show or at the end of the season, there was this one scene with her on the bridge when she had to decide to beam up Will and Worf and let Jean-Luc and Jack behind. So that was the scene. I mean, reminiscence to her time when she started command training and had to decide
yes.
to leave Jodie behind. So
Yeah.
that was this hard lesson she had to learn, and she learned this lesson well. And you see that in this episode when she said, we have to sacrifice them if you want to save that." So I actually, she got some good scenes, even though she wasn't on screen that often.
And I
So
like
with
the
strong
way
female characters,
yeah, I was
let's
just
not forget Michelle Hurd. We need to talk about Rafi.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
let's talk
I'll be
about
happy to
Rafi.
talk
I
about
can
her.
talk
Yeah.
about Rafi all the time.
See, and
I
I
love
told
Rafi.
Michelle that I really love Rafi because she is obviously so are many of the characters, but she is a very relatable character to me as far as
Yeah.
second chances in life, making some bad mistakes that you've had to pay for, and you are scratching and clawing your way back to the surface of life again and just trying to find a way to go forward. And I love that her way of going forward is to to try to get back into Starfleet to help others, to do a job. And little by little, as she gets better at this job over the seasons, she finds more of herself, which I think is a really great way to write a character. And I enjoy that. And it gives me hope. And we can
Well,
talk about Rafi
yes.
all you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Ravi. And I love Ravi because she is in season one. I know we wanted actually talked about season three. She's that kind of officer that was left behind for Starfleet when she didn't work so well for Starfleet anymore. Do
Right.
you understand that? So
Yes. She
she
didn't
was
agree with
she
Starfleet.
yeah, she no yeah, it's not that she didn't agree with Starfleet. It's just like she was involved in something huge, and she knew too much. I personally think that Rafi was always criticized as being not important or not good, and so, and I don't believe that. You are not the right hand of Admiral Jean-Luc Picard if you are just looking good in gold. I personally think that Rafi in her time was prime of her class. She was the best of the best.
Most likely.
Very likely, but she's not just you're sweet and you look good, and then yeah, that you we put you on the side of Picard. Picard you know, is the admiral, one of the admirals, and he choose her, so she must be good at some
Yeah.
point. So, and I mean, we saw in the on the screen that she has some flaws. I mean, she is a paranoid and something, I don't know. Maybe that's made her good in her job. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you can, yeah, right, made her good in her job. She can see things uh other people are not aware of. She can put connections others are not aware of, and she was right
Mhm.
and money, and still they let her down. Jean-Luc let her down, Starfleet let her down, and she fall into this hole,
Yeah.
and she was there for 13 years, and then for reasons she come back, as she said, she crawled her way back to Starfleet, and then there was Seven, and Seven had an input on her and in an impression, and she wanted to do better. She wanted to better for her son. She wanted to do better for herself, and maybe a little bit even she wanted to be better for Seven. And I think this is huge. You can do it, you can try it for yourself, but sometimes you need a little spark, a little hope, and a little love to find a reason to do it,
Hmm.
to change your life. I
Yeah.
like that about Ruby.
Yeah. I do too. I say I
You
think it's a
know,
very good inspirational.
Rafi has a great redemption arc, and when I think about Rafi, it shows me how you can skirt the Roddenberry rule, because that was always a problem when they were creating Next Generation. It was always caused stress in the writers' room that Roddenberry was very specific that the crew cannot have interpersonal conflict, and that rule just doesn't exist anymore in this modern incarnation of Trek. But what does exist and is important, that everyone, even if there are interpersonal conflicts, the overreaching arc is this camaraderie, this
Yeah,
family,
yeah,
people lifting each other up, people having the opportunity for second chances, for redemption. You have a flawed character like Rafi, and next to Seven, I think in these three seasons of Picard, I mean, I think in terms of their character arc, they're right next to each other in terms of their growth and their development and where they land at the end of these 10 episodes that we'll be talking about over these next few weeks.
yeah.
I say low key. Gene didn't mind interpersonal conflicts. If it was between men and women. He didn't like it between the men. That's my personal thought after rewatching. In case you've wondered, several times the original series.
Sure.
He liked the interpersonal issues between men and women working together, men and women being around each other. Um, that kind of bugs me rewatching it now. But yeah, for the most part, if the guys were having a disagreement, that was the main story of the week. That was the whole point of the episode. If two guys were having an issue. That's just my personal
And
thoughts.
that's the history of Trek. Roddenberry himself, he had this extraordinary vision for the future and humanity and equality and working together to find our destiny in the stars. But he was a human and deeply flawed. And, just like you're saying, when you go back and you rewatch it, it is true that, there is incredible steps forward that were made in the original series with the complexity and the makeup of that crew and the fact that you had, a black woman there. But you also see, okay, it's still the 60s, and you see,
Yeah.
there are some things that came through Roddenberry and the writers that you see, there's still work to be done. And the same thing with Next Generation and some of the really questionable episodes of Next Generation and all throughout Star Trek. That's always been the truth, but there's always this overreaching goal of trying to represent how do we work together through equality to reach our goals and overcome problems.
Yeah, and I think that in this season, the main subject is the family. I didn't remember if I
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
said that in last time, but all the stories has to be have to be with family. Is
Yeah.
Picard family? Is Laforge family? It's also Rafi family, and also 7 of 9 family, and it's Borg family also, and also the Dominion family.
Troy,
So
the Troy
Troy,
family, Troy
Troy
Riker
family.
family. Yeah.
So everything is related to family, which is really important for us as humans. So I think
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. And there's no difference between if we are married or divorced, or is it a chosen family, or is it
The
the
Borg
family
family, yeah, all of them.
well, they choose us, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all of them are fighting for their families. Even the Borg
Yeah,
Yeah.
Queen,
even the Borg Queen. Yes, yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And I do like to see, you can
And
see the growth between those original series and how how the personal relationships are displayed now. It is a lot more personal and layered, and not just
Yeah.
this is the bad guy of the week. We've got to beat him. Aren't we successful in beating them? It is so much more. There isn't just a plot line. There are so many subplots and
Yeah.
incredible characters that have been designed over decades that I like
Yeah.
that Terry allowed them to grow. We get to see why and how they changed as we're introduced to them, including Seven and even including Rafi over just the past couple of years. But definitely, obviously, Picard packing up his memories with Laris. And I think that is probably the biggest fan service we could be paid, is the respect to be shown. This is where our favorite characters have gone
Yeah.
and what their life stories have continued to be while we're growing up too. We grew up and had our own lives. They were
And
allowed.
what I
That's why all the characters seem so real,
Yeah.
yes.
because they have a story. It's not their story is not made for the whole story,
No. Yeah.
but it's they as a humans can have an impact on the story because of their stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you understand me, but I think that's
Yes.
the reason they seem so real, so good,
What
so near us, so we can understand them.
Yeah. What
in
I
the written, yeah, absolutely. There's this connection, this additional connection that we make with them that we never made through the 7 years of TNG or the 4 films, because they've grown and their dynamic is different. And not only family, but there's the theme of the found family, the family of the crew, the family that is duty being part of Starfleet. And particularly, it's brilliant when you see that struggle that Geordi is having between protecting his biological family, protecting his daughters, his wife that is off screen and we never see, and here is his mentor, Picard, that needs his help, and he struggles with that. But
what
we're
I really
jumping a few episodes, but yeah, whatever.
what
Everyone's
I
watched it now.
We do
what I
see that
really
with
like
Seven
is
because she takes the ship so that Picard and Riker can get where they want to go. We see her making that decision just in this episode. I am going to ignore my captain's orders and we're heading to wherever you guys need to go. In fact, we're already there. Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah,
I
what
just
I really like is that they don't just kind of develop relationships between them, like, oh yeah, no, and then they got married and they got children, and but their lives are really complex. You know, they are like there are issues, and there are tensions, and there is sometimes mm, things went wrong between them. And I mean, um they have different relationship, kind of a relationship to Picard. If you look closer to the entire TNG crew, and then you see there's Picard in the middle, and then you have Riker as very close friend, and of course Deanna, because she is also Riker's wife, of course, but she has a closer relationship to Picard than perhaps Worf, as we learned that in the
yeah.
later episodes, or Geordie and Data. Okay, Data and Picard has a different vibe, but they are not like, oh, we all love Picard, but you can see them. Okay, we are loyal to him, but we have different distances to him. There are people who are really close, and there are some people, oh, yeah, yeah, it's okay, but he's still my
Yeah,
ex CO, and but we are loyal to him, but we are not this close. We have my life, and I went on with my life, and I haven't seen him for years. I don't know, something like that. I really like that, because that's reality. You don't stay close all the time with the people, even though you spend a huge time with them, with the bigger part of your life with them. Sometimes they just uh, part ways at some point, and you can still be
but
close.
to the point, Beverly, that's the big mystery of this
Yeah,
entire episode. What happened to Beverly? Why did she cut off all connections? And for
yeah,
2 decades, there's been no contact with Beverly.
yeah. That, for
Yeah, and
instance.
any
So,
contact,
And
they
who is the
jump to go
man?
help her.
Yeah, and who is the man who is with her in the ship? We don't know who is that man at the beginning, and it's very well done. Everything is well. It's very well
yeah,
done. Very well
yeah,
written. Very well. Yeah.
I like the encryption of the message from Beverly to Picard, and that, he needed assistance to even. She had to know that he was going to have to go ask for help because he couldn't decipher it without Riker because he wasn't there when the code was made.
yeah,
Um, I like that that was an easy, flowing way to start bringing the other characters in. It wasn't,
yeah,
well, we just need an excuse. No, he needed assistance. And that jumps it all off um, for them to buddy cop each other on their way there.
Yeah. Well, it's very propulsive storytelling. To your point, it's set up where it's domino, domino, domino.
Yeah,
And that is good storytelling. Just like I was saying, as soon as this episode was over, I'm ready to watch the next episode. If I didn't have 15 other things to do today, I could sit down on any given day. And this is one of the very few series that I can just binge through all 10 episodes, no problem.
yeah,
yeah. Well, I
And
have.
have you realized that the secret message from Beverly to Picard has also to be with Borg again?
right, right, yeah, because it has to do with when he was a Borg. So I mean, there were lots of hints. We should
Yeah.
have known.
Yeah. Mm. Do
Wow.
you
It's
do you know
incredible.
what I was asked the entire third season, and I remember that in first season, Seven was part of the Borg cube, right? She was the queen for about, I don't know, 5 minutes or something, and I was wondering the entire time why the Borg, who probably very likely belonged to this cube, didn't tell her that, oh, by the way, there is another cube and there is the Borg Queen on it. Well, why they didn't share this information with Seven of Nine when she was Borg Queen? So that's what I was wondering all the time.
They were defragmenting their hard drive.
Yeah, they were cut off. They couldn't tell us
Yeah,
send a
right.
signal to say
Mm,
that where they were. Hi, we're
yeah.
hiding in a gassy planet. It's totally cool. You should come visit us
It's
when you get a
so
chance.
totally secret.
No,
Never tell Seven. Never tell Seven. I know she will come for you, but never tell Seven.
no, no. Maybe that's why they didn't tell Seven because then she'd come for her. This is secret information.
She. No, sorry guys, I don't buy it.
And this is an
No.
example of Trekkies picking apart Trek just because we are annoyed by little things.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, well, it worked out great. It worked out good, but I mean, the second question is why did Gerati never told about this? I mean, she probably knew that there was something hiding in.
Well, why does Ahura look
Yeah, no, no,
surprised when
let's
she sees
forget this.
T'Pring
Forget
for the
the question.
first time in the original series? Oh my gosh, she's beautiful. She's been there before. Why? It's
Yeah,
inconsistencies in Trek. We just have to deal with it.
yeah. Forget the question.
Well, I mean, if Picard had put his Enterprise D communicator in storage, then we would have had no adventure whatsoever. So it was very
There you go.
fortunate it just happened to be sitting there.
I
How
also
did
think that
Beverly know?
yeah, like Rafi, it's me. Hear me out. And then so, why do you know that she's listening to you? And I mean, obviously she won't listen to you, but you still try it.
But by the way, I want to say something about Worf in this episode because when you know that is Worf the one who is behind the computer, you
Right.
realize that the way of speaking of course is Worf. It's
I know.
Worf
I knew it from
way
the
of
first
speaking.
Yeah,
episode. First time I watched it, it annoyed the heck out of me. I was like, "Well, there's Worf," because
yeah, yeah.
he speaks
Right.
exactly like Worf.
Yes,
Short,
I didn't
monosyllabic
realize.
answers.
yes. And there must be. I was thinking the same as a. Wait, we have Picard, we have Riker. Must be Worf.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize. It was a total surprise for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
To be
No, that
fair, the
was
chamomile tea really surprised me. I did not expect him to offer Rafi chamomile tea, but the rest of it did not surprise me.
that was
Well,
great. That was great. Yes,
it's all part of the pacifism stick, except for on Wednesdays when he's doing beheadings.
yes, yes.
I thought maybe prune juice, but I'm a classist, so
But let's be
classicist.
honest. Worf looked great.
Yes,
Great,
yes.
He would
great.
look
It's
so
perfect.
great.
Perfect.
I
So
love
cute.
his outfit. I
This
really
is
love.
I
not
love
season
Worf in this
3,
season.
episode
So
1 anymore.
Sorry,
That's
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I
Well,
I I
I'm like,
repeated
if
one.
10% of this is about Picard, I'm gonna be shocked. It's all right.
Yeah, no. What can summarize? It's a great ship. It's a totally cool new captain. The first officer is hot as fuck, and we are so grateful we could see Picard and his first officer.
And I do want to take a second just to say I love the menacing design of the ship as it's coming out of the nebula towards
Yeah,
Beverly.
yep.
yeah,
I loved the
And
design of
that's the
that ship. I was
cliffhanger.
like, this is the bad guy. That's the bad guy. You know how we can tell it's the bad guy? Look at that ship. That is not the good guy ship.
yeah. Yes, right.
Well,
That's
and
right. And
that's
that's what
right.
happens
That's
when
right.
you
Completely.
bring together people, you bring back the Akutas, you bring back Doug Drexler. There are people who understand what is the visual language of Star Trek, and
Yeah.
that is the visual language of an enemy starship in Star Trek. This menacing, bird of prey, the Shrike. Um,
I mean,
you
it's
immediately know that's the big bad.
I mean, there was this really mean aura around this ship, like so. Oh, that's not good. Not good.
No.
No, no, no. Oh, I
We
mean,
haven't we haven't talked about the Spelliers, about Jack Russell.
Well, he's only introduced for a little bit. We see him for a brief moment at the beginning, and we basically see him arguing with the two old men on his ship. For
yeah.
the last bit, he's like, "Come on, guys, we have problems. I don't know what you guys are doing, but we."
and I really loved. Oh, I really love this thick English British accent. I loved it. And so like, what? What is
It- it's just perfect that throw line. He went to school in London and it just stuck.
yes,
Very good.
yes,
Okay.
I love it. I love this so much.
Well, I was very excited to see Ed come on the show because he's on another show that I watch, and I was very excited because he's a very different character. In
It's
the other show,
completely,
he plays like
yeah, it's
an
completely
evil
different.
pirate bad guy, and here he's just
Yeah,
like, okay, he's a little naughty, but he's not a bad guy by any means.
No, 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 no. I think the funny thing about Jack is that he has a lot of his dad in his character, and you at first you don't see it, but at some point this is so well written and so fantastic
yeah,
played by him. So he is, you know, a little bit of Beverly, a little bit of Jean-Luc, but he is still Jack,
Yeah.
and you see
absolutely.
that, and he's switching between these three aspects, and I love that. I really love that. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfectly
and
played.
it was a surprise when he says that he's Beverly's son, and
Hmm.
Rafa and me look at each other, and what? What? So the same way as Riker watched Picard. So it's
Yeah,
the same, you know.
Absolutely.
we have
Same
I
5 minutes left. 4
I don't
minutes.
know if it was like this in your country, but when I was growing up as a Star Trek fan, everybody gets, there's a love child somewhere out there of
Yeah,
Picard. And we just
I
all
mean,
assumed it was Wesley, and nobody told, Jack.
Yeah,
But so we were partially right. There is a love child,
sí,
but it
Right.
señor.
is Jack and not, yeah.
Well, and that storyline was played a little bit in TNG, but it turned out that that was a ruse. That wasn't his son. But to the point of the way that Spilliers does sort of have this young Picard energy, it makes you think about that episode, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's the one where you see young Picard, where he gets stabbed by the Nausicaan. So
yes,
you kind of get that feeling, okay, this is a little bit of what unrefined Picard is like. Someone who is maybe a little more hot-headed, that is going to go in with gun blazings before thinking things out. And you see through connecting with his father that through the episodes that, there's this maturity that he gains by having this connection with his father.
Yeah.
I think what Jack has is this wisdom for he's a kind of wisdom for his very young age
Yeah.
that is coming from, yeah, his experiences with, with his mother, but also like kind of really related to his family. Right? I mean, Seven said at some point that you really sound like him. You know, you're like him. You sound like him. So,
Yeah.
but no, I don't want to. Yeah, no, no. I really enjoy Jack as this character. He's right from the beginning a very strong, very uh
And
deep
vulnerable
character.
also. He's also
Yeah.
vulnerable,
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable,
Yeah.
sure.
vulnerable. So I think that's nice because it's not the typical strong hero. You know, he's
Yeah,
more human, and that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. I
there's a
have to go.
there's
I have to go.
there's a deep scar on his
Have a good
soul and
time.
on his by there's a deep scar on his soul and on his heart, and you feel that, you can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, he knows he's been
Well,
left alone.
especially
Go ahead.
in those later episodes where we have the flashbacks to Guinan's bar, and you see that again, these themes of family, that is all the family Picard ever thought he ever would need was his Starfleet family. And there's sort of the lost son over in the corner that's thinking about, do I want to connect or not connect? And
Oh, and we got cut off there, guys. I hope you enjoyed our little chat. I hope you go back and rewatch. This was our first time with this group doing a review, so we absolutely went as off topic and went all Star Trek wild as we do on The Couple Next Door and Outlander and go all Sam wild. So I hope you got something good out of it. It really is a good series, especially if you did enjoy any of Voyager, The Next Generation, or I'm going to throw it in there, Deep Space Nine too, because a lot of the styling and storyline is based on those three shows. And this is what I'm talking about, Picard's third season. This was our first episode review for that season. And I do believe we're going to try to do the second episode next week. So if you get a chance, check out Picard season 3. You can find it on Paramount Plus. I'm not sure if there's anywhere else you can watch it right now, but I'll see if I can find something if anybody's curious. And check us out. I will have the next video link up as soon as I know for sure when we are doing it, which will probably be a week from today. But we're just giving this a shot, so I make no guarantees. Let me know in the comments below what you thought, if you'd like something in particular discussed on the series or in Star Trek, and we will do what we can.